Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you students here today. We are so excited to have you. We did a game day show. We've been prepping for you for months. And so we're certainly excited to share this day with you and your families and your teachers and your counselors. Before we get started, I'd like to make just a few introductions. I'd like to introduce Mike Zammerly, who is here with Senator Moran's office. I'd like all of our local elected officials to please stand. Local elected officials, please stand. Thank you so much. And I also have a few board members here, so if you are on my board, I would love you to stand. Let's see, that'd be Maggie and Doug. Thank you so much. And Keith Moyer is also here from Fidelity Bank. He serves on our WSU Tech Foundation board. I want to take a special thank you to my dear friend and colleague that is here today, that works with many of you in the audience, and that is Dr. Alicia Thompson. Thank you so much. And I also want to just take a moment for all of our industry partners, our community partners, and if you are a high school teacher, counselor, please stand up so we can recognize you. Please stand up. And then I would like to introduce Roger Tedioski, who is the Executive Director of NC3, who is kind of co-chairing this whole event with us. Thank you, Roger. So why is today special? Today, this signing day is happening all across the United States in maybe 75 to 80 different colleges in different states. But what we're focused on today is WSU Tech and the decisions that you have made and what you're going to be able to do today. We want to celebrate. We want to honor your decision. We want to, it's going to be an exciting time for you to be with us. And you're going to get the chance to come up to one of these tables and you're going to sign a letter of intent. You're going to receive a $1,000 scholarship. And best of all, one of these great ball caps. So we plan to see you in those all across the city. But we really, truly, I really want to say to each of you students, we truly are so honored that you are choosing WSU Tech as a place to continue your education. And we don't take that lightly. We work very closely with our industry partners, and we work very closely to make sure that we are providing you a quality education that will lead to a very prosperous career. So all of you that are here for signing day, all of you students, could you just stand up and we'll just recognize all of you at one time to get started. You are the reason we are here today. So at this time, it is really my honor to be able to introduce an incredible leader, an incredible American, and his name is Nick Pinchuk, and he is the president and CEO of Snap-on. Nick, number one, if you've never heard this man speak, you're in for such a treat. I mean, really, truly. He is truly inspirational. But he has had an exemplary career serving his country, his company, and the American workforce. He received his MBA from Harvard and his Master and Bachelor of Science degrees in engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Nick served our country in Vietnam as an officer of the United States Army. He currently serves on many board of directors, but to name a few, Columbus McKinnon Corporation, the National Association of Manufacturers, the Manufacturing Institute, the Manufacturers Alliance for Productivity and Innovation, and Carthage College. Prior to Snap-on, Nick was president of global refrigeration operations at Carrier Corporation. Before then, he was with the Ford Motor Company. Nick is widely recognized for his leadership in education and workforce development. Skills USA, which many of you know, named him Champion of the Year for supporting the growth of a skilled workforce. Industry Week inducted him into the Manufacturing Hall of Fame. In addition, the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association has recognized him for all of his contributions to education. It is just my extreme pleasure and honor to welcome Nick Pinchuk to the stage. Please join me.
Well, thank you, President Utash, for that very kind, if somewhat lengthy and exaggerated introduction. But it is my great honor to be introduced by the legendary and visionary Sherry Utash, actually. I'm here to congratulate you all on taking the first step in enlisting in a great career, a life that will make a difference to you, to your families, to your community, and even to America. It's true. You know, Sherry Utash is here. A number of people from Snap-on are here, Train, 3M, Lincoln Electric. People from education, all over this state and all over the community, and community leaders from this city and from the state of Kansas that's very forward-thinking in terms of technical education. And my friend Roger Tajewski, who was just introduced, from the National Coalition of Certification Centers. They're all here to congratulate you and welcome you to what I would call the League of Contributors, of American contributors. You're taking the first step to having a life, to having a career that will make a difference, that will give you the opportunity for yourself and for your families to keep you warm and safe and dry and enjoy life. That will give you a feeling of pride and dignity and satisfaction and relevance, and will truly contribute in a unique and special and important way to our nation. It's true. In fact, I see no possible path to ongoing prosperity for America without success in what you're enlisting in. I'm going to make that case by asking and answering a few questions. Who are we? We're Americans, we're special people. How did we get here? We're the greatest country in the world. And where should we go from here? Technical education, what you're doing is exactly what we should do. As I stand here, I want to share with you, Sherry gave you the official resume, but I'll give you the people's resume. I just grew up in a steel town in upstate New York. I was educated, and I was technically educated, worked in the aerospace program for a period of time with the Viking probe that landed on Mars in 1976, fought with the American Army in Vietnam, worked for the Ford Motor Company, worked for United Technologies, lived in Asia for 11 years, and then fell upstairs to Snap-on, where I've enjoyed it for a long time. I've done a lot of things in my life. But you know what, it just hits me that the most important thing I ever did, the thing I'm most proud of, I could have used more technical education. It's hard to believe. And I know that because there are people here who are enlisting in healthcare. I wish I had the education you're about to get, because I was forced to deliver my own daughter in the back seat of a car in an A&P supermarket parking lot at 4:30 in the morning. You got to see this situation, okay? So I drive the car in the parking lot. I jump out of the front seat. My wife's in the back seat. I run around, open the door, and play catch. Boom. I had no training. No training. What are you going to do, right? I wish I had training. That's what I'm saying. So I had seen a TV show which showed, delivering a baby. So I picked up the baby by the ankles, made sure the air passages were empty, hit her on her rear end, and heard her breathe her first breath and make her first sound. It changed my life. And in those days, we didn't know what the gender of the baby was, so my wife asked me, is it a boy or a girl? Because she couldn't see. And in the back seat of that car, untrained as I was, in the A&P supermarket parking lot at 4:30 in the morning, in the dark, I was fooled by the umbilical cord. It's a true story. I could have used the technical training then, I'm telling you. So I envy all you guys, doing this. So get as much as you can. You never know when you're going to use it. Look, I'm from Snap-on. Snap-on's celebrating its 100 years. 1920, 100 years ago, a guy had an idea. He said, I can revolutionize the auto industry by repair of auto industry. I'll take 5 handles of different configurations, an ellipse, a T, a crank, and put them together with 10 sockets of different dimensions and fashion them so they snap on interchangeably. It revolutionized tool sets all over. It was an innovation. But here's what he did that was different. He laid those tools out. He told his salesman to lay those tools out on green felt as if they were as precious as surgeons' knives, confirming that what the technician did was perhaps as important as a surgeon. And so it has been ever for us. We now do business in 130 countries. We have 36 factories. We have 13,000 employees, 5,000 franchisees, thousands of direct salesmen, 80,000 products. We're in 2,500 schools. And everything that's sold off the truck here in America, or not everything, but 80% is made in America. And a hand tool is 50% labor. And what we do is we call on millions of technicians, millions of working men and women, makers and fixers every week, and we are constantly reminded of how capable they are. And over that time, the lesson that keeps reverberating to us over those weeks, week after week after week, is that the world we know, where we live, the way we move, the cities we raise, the energies we wield, the hopes we hold, and indeed the dreams we dare are all shaped by work, by the makers and fixers of this society. You can see it. Look around this room or think about how you got here or around what you saw when you drove here. It's all built by somebody we could characterize that is a maker and fixer and has a great technical education. This is the substrate that creates the society we hold so dear. You know it's true. Let me ask a question. Who are we? We're Americans. Right? Did you ever ask yourself, I think it's kind of interesting to ask, what makes an American? Well, we know what makes a French guy. They wear berets, eat cheese, and drink wine, right? That's kind of a French person, and they lived there for a long time. And they speak French. But Americans, we don't have a common origin. We come from everywhere. We all come from everywhere. My grandparents came from Russia and Ireland. We don't have a particular religion. All forms of worship can be found here. We don't even have a specific geography or specific map because the outline of the United States has changed every time we've added a star to the flag, and 2 have been added in my lifetime. So why are we Americans? What do we have in common? Here's what we have in common: belief. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are the people of belief, and we declare that belief in a level of patriotism that is unmatched around the globe. There's no place in this country where when jets fly over or color guards appear, that backs fail to straighten or eyes fail to moisten. You can see the American flag, the national flag, displayed more commonly across this country than in any other country in the world. We declare that belief constantly. And I am here to tell you that we do business in 130 countries around the world, and I travel to many of them, and I can tell you without question, without equivocation, without qualification, that America today is the greatest country in the world. We may have problems, but we are the greatest. We have more comfort, wider mobility, and broader opportunities. We all have chances to do better. We're not perfect. We have problems. But it is the greatest country in the world. Ask the Chinese about that today. It is the greatest country in the world. We have twice the number of paved roads. We have 7 times more people waiting to come in this country legally than any other country in the world. And China's growing. Of course, China before the virus, and they're going to get out of this, but China's growing. In fact, in last year, 2019, they added 54 new airports. 54 new airports. If they do that for the next 40 years, each year, they will start to get close to America. This is the greatest country in the world. And so the next question is, how did we get here? Historians have asked themselves this question: how is it that America has been ascendant over all the countries, say, in the Western Hemisphere, who started at the same time? It's sort of back, 300-400 years ago, somebody shot a gun and the country started charging ahead. Well, we are ascendant over all of that and ascended over everybody in the world, actually. And how did that all happen? And historians from Harvard to Yale to the Catholic University all say that it's because we knew how to make and fix things. We had people of capability spread across this nation. The signature of America is broad capability, driven by, in effect, technical education. This is what has made us different. It really has. If you think about it, it's part of what we believe. The pursuit of happiness, the ability to keep your family warm and safe and dry, and have pride and dignity. So we are the people of belief, and we are the people of work and capability. And you're embarking on that road today. Now you ask yourself, how did all this happen? Well, it happened because we had brilliant people. We had Washington and Jefferson and Lincoln and Ford and Edison. But those guys wouldn't have been anything if they didn't have the efforts of the many, the capable many, amplifying what they thought. Christopher Hitchens. You ever hear of Christopher Hitchens? Okay, the American Army retreats to Valley Forge in the winter of 1777. They are starving, and out of Philadelphia comes a baker, Christopher Hitchens, who plies his trade at Valley Forge and saves the Continental Army that goes on to establish the republic that we have held so dear for all these centuries. Rose Will Monroe, a young woman who in the early 1940s, from the hills of Kentucky, goes north to the Willow Run factory in Michigan and learns the art of riveting on warplanes. She became known as Rosie the Riveter. She adorns many posters, and she, with her colleagues like Wendy the Welder and her sisters, created the substrate, the commercial substrate that allowed America to win the one war we could not afford to lose. Contributions of people who knew how to do things spread across this nation. If you think about it in macro, think about somebody like Henry Ford. Henry Ford had a brilliant idea in the turn of the 20th century. Assemble cars, right? You probably all heard about this. He didn't invent a car, but he invented the assembly line, which brought cars to everywhere. But Henry Ford wouldn't have been anybody if he didn't have people who enlisted in his idea with capabilities. Henry Ford had an idea, and what he did was choose the greatest commercial amplifier of his time for that idea, and that was the American workforce, dedicated, capable, energetic. And together, they created the American auto industry. And in so doing, the ability of millions upon millions of people to have lives of satisfaction, pride, and dignity, and the ability to keep their family warm and safe and dry. And that happened from coast to coast. It's happening today. You can think of Amazon. It's sort of the same situation. Now, okay, where does that leave us today? Where does that leave all of you? Well, there's ample opportunity today. The need for work, the need for capability, the need for making and fixing, the need for healing people is important. And in fact, the ideas are still here. Some people say that America's running out of ideas. Well, I don't think so. You know, if you judge ideas based on Nobel Prizes, which tend to be awarded for innovation and capability and good thinking, since they started awarding Nobel Prizes in 1901, there have been 923 awarded since then. America's won 30% of them, 274. The next closest nation is England with 10%. Now, you could argue, I was going to say like the Kansas City Chiefs, but they tend to come from behind. The Green Bay, they could be like the Green Bay Packers. They could be like the Green Bay Packers who build up a lead and then we could be like the Green Bay Packers. We built up a lead in the 19th century, 20th century, and we're coasting now. It ain't so. Since 2001, 19 years ago, America's won 42% of the Nobel Prizes, considerably more than the 30% we won over time. So we're having more ideas than ever before. And you can say, okay, the Chinese are rising. You know, China's a big country. It's 1.4 billion people. They've got all these scientists and so on. Yes, that's true. And 7 ethnic Chinese have been awarded Nobel Prizes in recent years. More than half of them were American citizens. So the ideas are still here. And the opportunities are there. Right now, the National Association of Manufacturers says just in manufacturing, there are 500,000 jobs that are empty. We need people with the skills. And by the end of over the next 10 years, there'll be 2.4 million jobs empty, unfilled. 2.2 will be filled, 2.4 will go unfilled. So that's a lot of opportunity. I know you can think in this area, well, there's ups and downs and people get laid off and so on. That's true. But that happens whether you're an accountant or an engineer or a physician or an attorney or a teacher. It happens in every profession. But the good thing about the things that you're enlisting in is there's going to be ample opportunity for all of you over this nation for much time to come. You can see it, and it contributes to making us who we are. One other small fact. People talk about getting 4-year degrees, and there's nothing wrong with getting 4-year degrees. I think it's a great thing, but the Federal Reserve, an arm of the U.S. government, will tell you that if you get education at a technical college like WSU Tech, you will, on average, earn more than a significant percentage of people who get 4-year degrees. So in enlisting in the careers that you're talking about, you're going to have opportunity, you're going to have satisfaction, and you're going to have pride and dignity, and you're going to have the gratitude of a nation. In fact, today, when you sign that paper, you take your first step in enlisting in an American calling. It has always been so. It is what has created the nation we hold so dear, and it will continue to do so. And you're needed. So that's my message to you today, is this. You're taking a momentous step, joining what I would call the League of Contributors for America. Signing this paper, you're taking the first step to establish a life of significance that will make a difference for yourselves, for your family, for your community, and for America in general. Who are we in America? We are the people of belief, but we're also the people of work. How did we get here? How is it we're the best, the greatest country in the world? It's because we have learned this very skills that you're signing up to learn now. Where should you go on this? You're doing it. Enlist in technical education. That's the way to go, and there is ample opportunity going forward. You see, people say, in fact, every generation has said this, and every period of American history and history in general, they look forward to it, and they say, oh, there's a lot of change, and there are questions. And there are questions, but I can tell you without equivocation, without qualification, that there are questions about the future, but technical education and people like you are the answer. That's why we've come. All of us have journeyed here, come together to celebrate your signing day, because you are important to all of our futures. I'm going to close by simply saying, because you've taken this step to enlist in American calling, you have my congratulations. Because you're going to mean so much, you're going to make a difference in the future, you have my admiration. And because you've invited me to be here, you have my gratitude, because it's great to be here among all this energy. The future is a question, but you are the answer. I see no path to ongoing American prosperity without your success in the endeavor you're starting on today. And I know this because I know without your success, people won't heal. Oil doesn't flow. Vehicles don't roll. Economies don't grow. Cities don't rise. Planes don't fly. And freedom doesn't ring. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Always had a vision, always had high hopes.